Every victory, every clever maneuver, and every act of courage had contributed to a larger truth. Arrogance has a price, and humans were willing to pay attention to every detail, every risk, and every opportunity to survive and win. As the Terran fleet regrouped, the lessons were clear. The Empire had assumed they could dominate with sheer numbers and power. Humans had shown that courage, intelligence, and determination could turn the tide of any battle. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. And far beyond the battle, the stars shone brightly, a reminder that humanity had not only survived, they had grown stronger, wiser, and ready for whatever challenges awaited in the vastness of space. The Empire had learned the cost of arrogance, and the humans had proven that no amount of power could replace strategy, courage, and the will to survive. The Terran fleet had grown stronger with each encounter. Every skirmish, every maneuver, and every battle had taught them more about the Empire. Captain Ethan Ross stood on the bridge of the Terra Nova, looking at the massive holographic display of the Empire's fleet. They were tired, scattered, and frustrated. The humans had survived where many had thought they would fail. "They're weaker than before," Ethan said quietly. "We've worn them down. But we can't underestimate them. One mistake now could cost everything." Pilot Ben Carter nodded. "They've already lost so much, though. I think they know they've been beaten."
"Maybe," Ethan said, "but desperation makes the strongest soldiers reckless."
"We have to use that to our advantage." The humans prepared a coordinated counteroffensive. For weeks they had studied Imperial patterns, predicting the movements of ships, the timing of attacks, and the likely targets. Now, they had enough information to strike decisively. Small groups of Terran ships moved to cut off reinforcements, while the main fleet prepared to engage the Empire's central force near a binary star system. Commander Lucas Wright led the first strike. His squad attacked the Empire's supply lines, destroying several key vessels and forcing Imperial ships into defensive formations. "They can't move forward easily now," Lucas said over the comms. "Every ship they have is reacting, not acting. We control the battle." Ethan smiled. "Good. That's exactly what we need. Everyone follow the plan. Stay disciplined, stay sharp, and strike as one." The main engagement began as the Terran fleet emerged from hidden jump points. The Empire's central fleet, confident and arrogant, believed it could crush the humans quickly. Massive cruisers moved forward, firing on anything that looked like a human ship. But the humans had studied their tactics. They anticipated every move, striking weak points, using cover, and drawing the Empire into traps. On the Terra Nova, Ethan watched the engagement unfold. Ships under his command moved with precision, their crews working in perfect coordination. Pilot Amy Lopez dodged incoming fire, hitting an Imperial cruiser from an unexpected angle. Engineer Mark Hillman adjusted the shields and weapons in real time, ensuring every shot counted. "We've got them," Amy said, excitement in her voice. "They're panicking. Stay focused," Ethan warned. "This isn't over yet." The Empire began to collapse under the relentless pressure. Admiral Victor Hale, furious and desperate, tried to order his ships into tighter formations, but the humans had already learned the weaknesses of such tactics. Terran ships moved quickly, striking exposed command vessels and disrupting communications. Chaos spread through the Imperial fleet. Officers shouted orders that could not be executed in time. Ships collided, fired at the wrong targets, or retreated without orders. The Terran fleet deploys, and the Empire learned the cost of arrogance. Sci-fi, the Empire had ruled the galaxy for centuries. Its power was vast, and its fleet stretched across hundreds of star systems. The leaders of the Empire believed they were unbeatable. They looked at humanity, a young species on a small blue planet, and laughed. They saw humans as weak, disorganized, and unworthy of serious attention. In the grand council chambers of the imperial capital, Admiral Victor Hale leaned back in his chair. His uniform was crisp, and his medals shone under the lights. He spoke to his officers with quiet confidence. The humans are nothing. Their ships are slow, their weapons are weak, and their tactics are primitive. This will be an easy campaign.
His officers nodded, though some of them felt a small doubt. In the Empire, doubt was rarely spoken aloud.
It was dangerous to show even the smallest uncertainty. Still, the humans were different. They were unpredictable. Some officers whispered stories of humans fighting with courage that went beyond reason. Hale ignored these stories. He believed bravery without skill was meaningless. On Earth, far from the Empire's capital, humans were aware of the Empire's approach. Intelligence satellites had picked up strange movements near the outer systems. Jack Morris, a young but skilled officer in the Terran Defense Council, studied the reports with concern. He had been in the fleet for nearly a decade and had seen many threats, but the Empire was unlike anything he had ever faced. He turned to Claire Bennett, his colleague and friend, who worked in strategy and planning. "They're coming," Jack said, pointing to a blinking dot on the holographic map. "And they think we won't notice." Claire frowned. She was calm, but her eyes were sharp. "We've known about them for months. We can't fight them like other species. They have more ships, more weapons, more everything. We will show the galaxy that underestimating humanity comes with a cost." The message reached the Council, and its effect was immediate. Representatives from many species noted the humans' courage, intelligence, and strategic skill. The Empire's reputation had been shaken. Leaders who once assumed humans were insignificant now had to acknowledge that humanity had earned its place among the galaxy's powers. On the Terra Nova, Ethan addressed his crew. "Look at what we've accomplished," he said. "We were outnumbered, outgunned, and underestimated. But we used our minds, our courage, and our teamwork. That is what makes humans strong." Pilot Ben Carter smiled. "I guess all those drills and simulations actually paid off." "More than that," Ethan said. "They taught us how to survive, how to adapt, and how to turn weakness into strength. We showed the Empire that arrogance is dangerous when faced with a species that refuses to give up." The Empire formally retreated from human space. Its leaders had learned that power alone could not secure victory. Arrogance, overconfidence, and underestimating an opponent could destroy even the mightiest fleets. The humans had proven that determination, intelligence, and courage could overcome greater numbers and superior firepower. On Earth, the population celebrated quietly. They knew the victory was not just military, it was a statement. Humanity would not be ignored, and the galaxy would have to respect their strength and resilience. Jack Morris and Claire Bennett stood together, watching reports of the battle. "We've changed the galaxy," Jack said. "They won't see humans the same way again." "Yes," Claire replied. "And we've done it without losing who we are. We fight to protect, not to dominate. That's what makes us different, and that's why we survive." As the Terran fleet returned to home space, the stars seemed brighter, the galaxy quieter, and the humans stronger. Captain Ethan Ross looked out at the vastness of space. He knew the Empire would rebuild. Other powers might rise, but humanity had learned something more important than victory in battle. They had learned the value of courage, intelligence, and unity. And in the quiet of the command deck, he whispered to himself, "They underestimated us once. They will not make that mistake again." The galaxy had learned a lesson too. Arrogance can blind even the strongest, And humanity, though young and small, had a fire that no empire could ignore. The humans had survived, and in doing so they had shown the cost of underestimating a determined species. Peace would return for now, but the memory of the Terran fleet's courage and skill would echo across star systems for generations. The Empire had learned the hard way that respect must be earned, and that even the greatest powers can fall when they ignore the power of heart, mind, and courage. Humanity had won not just a battle, but a place in the galaxy. They had taught a lesson in patience, strategy, and mercy that no one would forget. The Empire had retreated, wiser and humbled, and the humans had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, survival, courage, and intelligence could change the course of history. And as the Terran fleet sailed back to their home system, every officer and crew member knew they had done more than fight. They had written the first chapter of humanity's place among the stars. A lesson was clear: underestimate humans at your own peril. The stars stretched endlessly before them, full of possibilities, challenges, and the promise of new adventures. Humanity was ready for whatever the galaxy would bring next. But that doesn't mean we lose. We have to be smart. Outthinking them is our only chance. Jack nodded. He trusted Claire's judgment. She had a way of seeing the whole picture, not just the immediate danger. They spent hours analyzing the Empire's patterns. The humans had learned from past wars that brute force alone could not win battles. Intelligence, surprise, and adaptability often mattered more than raw power. In orbit around Earth, Captain Ethan Ross prepared his crew. His ship, the Terra Nova, was one of the best in the Terran fleet, though it was smaller than the Empire's capital-class ships. He moved through the corridors, speaking quietly with his officers and pilots. He knew fear was normal, but panic could destroy a crew faster than enemy fire. "Listen," he said to his team. "We're outnumbered, yes. We're outgunned, yes. But that doesn't mean we lose. Every move we make, every choice, can give us an advantage. We have to trust each other. We have to trust ourselves." His words did not make the danger disappear, but they gave his crew focus. The pilots, engineers, and Marines felt a renewed determination. They were humans, and humans had a strange way of surviving against impossible odds. Back in the Empire, the fleet prepared for deployment. Massive ships gathered in a dense formation, their hulls gleaming with polished metal. Officers reviewed plans, confident that their technology would crush the humans. The Empire had faced rebellion before, had fought countless wars across star systems. None of those rebellions had lasted long. Hale believed the humans would follow the same pattern. He ordered the fleet to jump to the edge of human-controlled space, expecting to land in their territory within days. But the humans had been preparing quietly. The Terran Council had spent months developing strategies specifically for this moment. They knew the Empire underestimated them. They used small, fast ships to create distractions, while their larger vessels remained hidden. They had studied the Empire's tactics, predicting their movements. And most importantly, they knew the Empire did not understand them. Humans did not always act logically, and sometimes that unpredictability was their greatest weapon. Ethan Ross's ship moved silently through space, following a hidden jump route that the Empire did not know existed. His crew worked with precision, checking every system, reviewing every plan. Pilot Ben Carter adjusted the trajectory of a small scout ship, while engineer Amy Lopez monitored the engines of the Terra Nova. "We're in position," Ben said. "Nothing in sight. It's too quiet." Amy shook her head. "That's exactly what makes me nervous. Quiet like this is never good." Ethan smiled, though his face was serious. "Remember what Claire said. We're not just waiting. We're observing, we're learning, and we're ready to act. When they make a mistake, we strike. In the Empire's fleet, Admiral Hale received reports from his scouts. They showed the outer systems empty and the humans nowhere to be seen. He smiled, certain that the humans had fled or hidden poorly. He issued orders to advance. The Imperial ships jumped from one system to another, confident that soon they would surround Earth. But the humans had planned for this. Small groups of Terran ships, almost invisible against the stars, moved through asteroid fields and dark space corridors. They studied the Imperial ships, learning their speed, weapon patterns, and formations. The humans did not panic. They did not rush. They prepared to use the Empire's own arrogance against them. On Earth, Jack Morris reviewed the final defensive strategies. The planet itself was protected, but humans did not intend to fight from the surface alone. Space was their battlefield, and they had advantages the Empire did not suspect.
Remember, Claire said, we can't beat them if we fight their way. We have to fight smart.
Hit where it hurts, avoid their strength, and stay alive long enough to turn the battle in our favor. Jack nodded. He understood. The Empire's greatest weakness was its belief in its own superiority. They underestimated humans. They thought humans were simple, predictable, and weak. They did not understand determination, courage, and adaptability. Humans could learn, change, and surprise. That was their advantage. Ethan Ross and his crew prepared for the first encounter. Every crew member had trained for years, but this was different. This was not a simulation. Real lives were at stake. The humans did not fear death. They feared failing to protect each other and their home. That fear was sharper than any weapon. In the Empire, Admiral Hale remained confident. He could not imagine that his fleet, so large and well-equipped, could meet defeat at the hands of humans. His officers tried to warn him of small skirmishes, of missing signals, of strange anomalies. Hale ignored them. In his mind, the Empire's plan was flawless. And yet, across the stars, the humans waited. Their small ships moved through shadows, their crews silent but alert. They knew the Empire's arrogance was their ally. Every misstep the Empire made, every assumption they held, gave the humans an advantage. They had learned patience, and they had learned to strike at the right moment. On the Terra Nova, Ethan stood on the bridge, looking at the holographic map. The Empire's fleet was approaching, massive and confident, but he did not feel fear. He felt determination. He turned to his crew. "We're ready," he said. "They think they can scare us." "They think they can overwhelm us. Let them come. We will show them what it means to underestimate humanity." In the silence of space, the first movements of the coming war began. The Empire believed it would be a simple victory. The humans knew it would be far from simple. Courage, strategy, and determination would decide the outcome. And in this quiet preparation, the first spark of the battle that would change the galaxy was about to ignite. The Terran fleet moved quietly through the empty space beyond the outer systems. Their ships were smaller and fewer than the Empire's, but they were fast, agile, and equipped with new technology designed to confuse and outsmart the enemy. Captain Ethan Ross stood on the bridge of the Terra Nova, watching the screens that displayed the positions of nearby ships. The Empire was moving closer, their massive ships cutting through space like a shadow over the stars. "They're coming," said pilot Ben Carter, gripping the controls of his small scout fighter. He looked nervous, but determination shone in his eyes. "And they don't even know we're here." Engineer Amy Lopez nodded. "They'll be surprised. We've prepared for this. Every system, every tactic, every maneuver has been practiced. We can handle them. Ethan smiled faintly. It's not just about handling them. It's about making them make mistakes. That's how we win. The first encounter happened in the asteroid belt, near the outer edge of human space. The Empire's fleet, massive and powerful, assumed humans would scatter and hide. They did not expect resistance. But humans had set up ambush points, using the asteroids for cover and surprise attacks. Small Terran ships zipped through the fields, striking suddenly at Imperial scouts before disappearing into shadows. Commander Lucas Wright led one of these groups. He was quiet, methodical, and precise. He directed his squad with calm authority. Split into 3 groups. Hit the outer scouts first, then fall back. Do not engage the larger ships yet. We're here to learn, not die. His team followed orders perfectly. Pilot Amy Lopez led her fighter around an asteroid, firing a short burst at an Imperial ship. The laser hit the hull, causing minor damage, but enough to confuse the enemy. The Imperial ship fired back, but Amy was gone before they could target her properly. She laughed quietly over the comms. They don't see us coming. The Empire's officers grew frustrated. Reports came in showing unexpected damage to their ships. Small groups of humans attacked, then vanished. The massive Imperial vessels, designed for frontal assaults, were slow to respond. Admiral Hale was furious. He did not understand how small human ships could cause so much disruption. "Increase your firepower," Hale shouted. "Destroy every ship in your path." They cannot hide from us. But the humans were not hiding. They were adapting. Every move the Empire made, the Terrans observed and countered. When Imperial ships changed formation, human ships moved to strike weak points. When Imperial sensors scanned for them, they used electronic interference to remain invisible. On the Terra Nova, Ethan Ross watched the screens. "Look at that," he said, pointing to the movements of an Imperial cruiser. "They're adjusting too slowly. We can control the fight if we stay patient." Jack Morris, on another Terran ship nearby, nodded. "They think they're the hunters, but we're leading them into traps. They'll learn too late that we don't play by their rules." The first small battle ended with the Empire losing several scouts and minor ships. It was not a decisive victory, but it shocked the Imperial officers. They had expected humans to flee or surrender. Instead, humans fought with courage and strategy. Back on Earth, the Terran Defense Council watched the battle unfold. Claire Bennett smiled at the live feeds. "This is exactly what we wanted." They're learning the hard way that humans are not easy to defeat.
"Do you think they'll adapt?" asked another officer.
"They will try," Claire said. "But they cannot understand how humans think. Our strength is unpredictability. We don't just fight, we improvise." In the Empire, morale began to waver. Officers whispered among themselves, questioning whether the humans were really as weak as they had assumed. Hale dismissed these concerns, but the seed of doubt had been planted. The Terrans did not waste time celebrating. They knew this was only the beginning. Ethan Ross ordered his fleet to move deeper into space, still avoiding direct confrontation with the larger Imperial ships. They focused on targeting supply lines, communications, and command vessels. By doing so, they forced the Empire to react and adjust constantly. "We need them tired and frustrated before we face their main fleet," Ethan explained to his officers. "Every small victory counts." Pilot Amy Lopez nodded. "They won't see us coming until it's too late." And she was right. The humans struck quickly and vanished, leaving the Imperial fleet scrambling. Small Terran boarding teams led by Daniel Brooks boarded abandoned Imperial ships to gather intelligence. They moved fast and quietly, taking only what they needed before returning to their own ships. The information they collected helped humans predict Imperial movements and plan future attacks. The Empire began to realize a pattern. The humans did not fight like other species. They avoided head-on battles when possible, targeted weaknesses, and adapted their strategies based on what they learned during each engagement. This was something the Empire had not encountered before. "They study us while we study them," one Imperial officer muttered. "And they change faster than we do." Hale's frustration grew. He ordered his ships to increase aggression, hoping sheer power would overwhelm the humans. But the more force he applied, the more the humans avoided it. Each time an Imperial ship struck too far forward, human pilots ambushed it from behind or from the sides. The Empire's own confidence became a weakness. On the Terra Nova, Ethan reviewed the reports from the last encounter. He called Ben Carter over. "Look at these numbers. Our losses are small. Theirs are growing. They're already frustrated, and we've only started." Ben grinned. "It feels good to see them stumble. They thought we'd be easy prey." "Don't get too comfortable," Ethan warned. "This is just the beginning. The Empire is strong, and they'll strike back harder. We have to be ready." And strike back they did. The Empire regrouped and launched a counterattack. Massive Imperial cruisers advanced slowly, firing at small human ships that tried to block them. But humans used hit-and-run tactics, drawing the cruisers into asteroid fields where they could not maneuver well. Every strike cost the Empire. Every mistake was magnified. Commander Lucas Wright led a daring maneuver, taking his squad deep into the heart of the Imperial fleet. They fired once, then disappeared behind asteroids, leaving the Empire confused and angry. "They think they can chase us," Lucas said calmly over the comms, "but they're chasing shadows." Ethan watched from the bridge of the Terra Nova. As the Empire struggled to adapt, the humans were winning the battle of strategy, even if the Empire had more ships and weapons. Each small victory, each clever maneuver made the humans more confident. Jack Morris and Claire Bennett continued coordinating from Earth. They monitored the fleet, offering advice and predicting Imperial movements. Every decision the humans made was deliberate. Patience was their ally, and it was working. "They won't expect this," Claire said. "They assume victory is simple." That's their mistake. The Empire suffered a surprising loss when a group of human ships disabled a supply convoy. Imperial officers had assumed the convoy was secure. They did not expect humans to attack so boldly. The loss caused panic in the fleet, and officers blamed each other for mistakes. Morale fell, even among the experienced soldiers of the Empire. Hale's anger turned to desperation. He called a meeting with his top commanders. "We must crush them immediately," he said. "Nothing else will do." "They cannot be allowed to survive, sir," one officer said carefully. "We have already lost scouts, supply ships, and communication vessels. They are unpredictable. Attacking directly could cost us even more." "Enough!" Hale shouted. "Do it my way. All ships advance, fire on sight, and leave nothing alive." But humans did not need to meet the Empire head-on to win. They continued striking where it hurt most: weak points, exposed ships, and critical supplies. Every attack taught the humans more about the Empire's strengths and weaknesses. Every miscalculation by the Empire gave the humans a larger advantage. On the Terra Nova, Ethan looked at the fleet. "They're angry," he said, "and when they are angry, they make mistakes. We have to be ready to use them." Ben Carter and Amy Lopez exchanged a glance. I never thought fighting could feel like this, Ben said. It's not just fighting, Ethan said. It's survival, strategy, and learning. We adapt. We survive. That's what humans do best. Over the next few days, the humans continued their strategy. Small skirmishes weakened the Empire's fleet, slowly but steadily. The humans avoided unnecessary losses, choosing when to strike and when to retreat. They were patient, methodical, and clever. The Empire had expected an easy conquest. Instead, they faced a species that refused to be intimidated, refused to surrender, and refused to fight by predictable rules. Human courage, intelligence, and adaptability had become a weapon stronger than any Imperial gun. And far away from the battle, on Earth, Claire Bennett and Jack Morris smiled quietly. The first step had been taken. The Empire was beginning to learn a lesson that would be costly, a lesson about underestimating humanity. The humans were not just surviving, they were teaching the Empire the price of arrogance. The Empire's arrogance had begun to show its true cost. After weeks of skirmishes, the Terran fleet had forced the massive Imperial vessels to fight differently than they wanted. Each time the Empire struck, the humans adapted. Every maneuver and counterattack taught them more about the enemy, and every mistake by the Empire weakened their position. Admiral Victor Hale stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching reports of yet another small human victory. His face was pale with frustration. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Our fleet is larger, our weapons stronger. Why are they still resisting?" An officer hesitated. "Sir, the humans are fast, unpredictable, and highly coordinated. They strike our weak points and retreat before we can respond. Their tactics are unusual. Unusual is an excuse for incompetence," Hale snapped. "We are the Empire. We cannot fail. Attack with everything you have." But the humans were not just surviving. They were exploiting every opportunity the Empire gave them. Small Terran fleets moved silently through asteroid fields, striking supply lines and command vessels. Commander Lucas Wright led one of these groups. He directed his pilots with calm authority, avoiding direct confrontation with larger Imperial ships while still causing maximum disruption. "Split into two groups," Lucas ordered. "One distracts them, the other hits their supply convoy. We take only what we need and disappear. We can't afford losses we don't need." The pilots followed orders perfectly. Amy Lopez guided her fighter through a narrow asteroid tunnel, appearing suddenly behind an Imperial cargo ship. A short burst of lasers disabled the ship's engines, causing it to drift helplessly. The human ships quickly withdrew before Imperial reinforcements could arrive. "They don't even see us," Amy said over the comms, excitement in her voice. "We're ghosts to them." The Empire, on the other hand, grew more reckless with each failed attack. Admiral Hale, angry and desperate, ordered his captains to focus on finding and destroying the human ships directly. He believed that sheer force would finally crush them. "Seek them out," Hale shouted. "Fire on sight! Leave nothing alive." But the humans had already anticipated this. Ethan Ross on the Terra Nova had studied the Empire's patterns and knew they would act predictably when angry. He gathered his officers on the bridge.
"They're desperate," Ethan said. "And desperate people make mistakes."
"We stay calm, hit where it hurts, and avoid their main firepower. They'll open themselves to us if we are patient." Jack Morris, aboard another Terran ship, monitored Imperial movements. "Their arrogance is turning into weakness," he said. "Every time they strike recklessly, we gain an advantage. We just need to keep them off balance." And so the humans continued their strategy. Small squads struck at Imperial supply lines, communication hubs, and lightly defended ships. Each attack forced the Empire to react. They had to divide their fleet, stretch their defenses, and fight in ways that left them vulnerable. On one daring mission, Daniel Brooks led a boarding team to capture an Imperial command ship. The team moved quietly, disabling security systems and taking control without harming the crew unnecessarily. The information they gathered allowed the humans to predict Imperial reinforcements and strike again with precision. "We now know their movements for the next 3 days," Daniel said over the comms. "We can plan the next attack carefully." Ethan nodded. "Good work. This is exactly why we focus on intelligence as much as firepower. We fight smarter, not just harder." Imperial morale began to crumble. Officers who had once believed in the Empire's absolute superiority now doubted their own decisions. Some muttered about the humans' courage and cleverness. Others suggested retreat, but Hale refused to admit failure. He clung to the belief that the Empire's power alone should guarantee victory. "We are the strongest," Hale told his officers. "Our enemies must fall. Do not question me." But his words could not hide the growing fear. Each human attack had consequences that the Empire could not ignore. Supply lines were disrupted, communications delayed, and key ships were lost. Even the largest cruisers were vulnerable to well-coordinated human strikes. On Earth, Claire Bennett watched the reports with satisfaction. "They think victory is simple," she said. "That's their mistake. They can't see how fast humans can learn and adapt." Jack Morris nodded. "Every time they underestimate us, we gain strength. We just need to keep focused and patient. The Empire will fall if they keep making mistakes." The turning point came when Ethan Ross ordered a bold maneuver. The Terran fleet lured the main Imperial fleet into a trap near a dense asteroid field. Small human ships moved quickly, firing at critical points, while larger ships stayed hidden. The Imperial ships were slow to respond, their formations broken by the unexpected tactics.
"They're trapped," Ethan said quietly.
"Stay calm, strike together." Then Carter led a squadron through the field, dodging fire from Imperial turrets. They hit weak points on the enemy's main ships, causing systems to fail and forcing the Imperial vessels into chaotic movements. Amy Lopez followed closely behind, delivering precise strikes to the exposed engines of cruisers. "We've got them scrambling!" Amy shouted. "They can't maneuver properly," Ethan smiled. "Perfect. Keep pushing. Don't give them a chance to regroup." The humans' careful coordination and intelligence gathering allowed them to exploit every weakness. Imperial ships collided, misfired, and retreated in confusion. Officers who had once been confident found themselves trapped in situations they could not control. The Empire's arrogance had blinded them to the humans' capabilities, and now it was paying the price. Amid the chaos, Daniel Brooks's boarding teams captured several key command vessels. They disabled weapons, gathered critical information, and withdrew without unnecessary destruction. Every captured ship weakened the Empire's command and control. "We're breaking their lines," Daniel reported.
They don't know what to do next. Ethan nodded.
"This is how we win. We don't just destroy ships, we break their confidence, their strategy, and their will to fight." Back on Earth, Claire Bennett and Jack Morris watched the reports with quiet pride. They had planned carefully for this moment, and their strategy was working. The humans were proving that courage, intelligence, and adaptability could overcome even the strongest enemy. "They're learning the hard way," Claire said. "Arrogance always comes with a cost, and the humans are teaching them," Jack replied. "We've survived, adapted, and struck when it matters most. Now the Empire is paying the price for underestimating us." The Empire's Central Fleet attempted one last coordinated strike, but the humans were ready. Ethan Ross led his ships in a precise, coordinated counterattack, hitting critical points and forcing the Imperial fleet to retreat. The humans did not give chase recklessly. They knew patience was their ally. Every Imperial ship lost or damaged increased the pressure on the rest of the fleet. Admiral Hale, watching from his flagship, realized his mistakes too late. His arrogance had blinded him to the humans' abilities, and now the Empire was suffering. Supply lines were cut, command ships captured, and morale at an all-time low. The Empire had underestimated humanity, and it had cost them dearly. "Retreat," Hale finally ordered, his voice tight with anger and fear. "Fall back to safe positions, regroup." But the humans had already learned the Empire's retreat paths. Small Terran ships harassed the fleeing vessels, disabling engines and cutting off escape routes. The Empire's retreat was chaotic and costly. Many ships were lost, and the survivors carried a lesson they would not forget. On the Terra Nova, Ethan Ross addressed his officers. "We've done well, but this isn't the end. The Empire will rebuild, and they may come again. We've shown them the cost of arrogance, but we must remain vigilant. Today we win, tomorrow we prepare." Ben Carter grinned. "They'll think twice before underestimating humans again." Amy Lopez nodded. "And they should. We're not just survivors. We're strategists, fighters, and humans. That combination is dangerous for anyone who underestimates it." Jack Morris and Claire Bennett continued to monitor the Empire's movements. The humans had taught the galaxy a lesson. Strength alone does not guarantee victory. Intelligence, courage, and adaptability can overcome even the largest fleets. "This is only the beginning," Claire said. "Humanity has proven its place among the stars." The Empire learned it the hard way, but the lesson will last, and we'll be ready for whatever comes next, Jack replied, "because we've learned how to fight smarter, survive longer, and win when others assume we can't." The humans had not only survived, they had forced the Empire to recognize them as equals. On Earth, Jack Morris and Claire Bennett monitored the battle. They guided the fleet strategically, sending advice through secure channels. "They're losing control," Claire said. "Their arrogance is their undoing." "They underestimated us from the start," Jack replied. "And that's why they're falling now." Amid the chaos, human boarding teams led by Daniel Brooks captured several Imperial command ships. They disabled critical systems and took control without destroying the vessels. Every capture gave the humans more information and fewer enemies. Ethan watched the enemy admiral's flagship take damage. "That's it," he said. "We've broken their command. Now we push them back completely." The Terran fleet moved. As one coordinated strikes from multiple directions overwhelmed the Empire's remaining ships. Every movement was calculated, every attack precise. Imperial morale crumbled. Soldiers and officers realized their arrogance had blinded them. They had assumed victory before the battle even began, and that assumption had cost them dearly. Admiral Hale watched helplessly as his fleet disintegrated. "Retreat," he finally ordered, but it was too late. The humans had cut off their escape routes. Several Imperial ships surrendered, while others fled in confusion. The Empire had suffered its first true defeat at the hands of humanity. On the Terra Nova, Ethan allowed himself a small sigh of relief.
"We did it," he said quietly. "But this isn't about celebration."
"It's about showing them a lesson they won't forget." The humans spared the surviving Imperial leaders. They did not destroy everything in anger or revenge. Instead, they chose to send a message of strength. tempered with mercy. Claire Bennett prepared the communication to deliver to the Galactic Council, explaining humanity's intentions. "We fight to protect our home," she said. "We do not fight for conquest, but we will defend ourselves."